Hi guys, it's Ankarad. Welcome back to BloomTV. Today I've got a really exciting video and I am doing a huge July haul, and I know this is going to be super long because I've got about 20 books here, which is crazy, so I'm just going to get right in. And the first book I have got is Entwined by Heather Dixon. Okay, I'm going to be honest here, this was purely a cover buy. I'm really sorry. Look how pretty it is. I want her dress. I want the building. I want this book. It's a fairy tale retelling. That's all I know. It's a lesser known fairy tale and the cover's beautiful. That's basically all I've got for you. The next book is The Bronze Horseman by Paulina Simmons, or Simons. And I also bought this particular edition because of the cover, because I don't like the other cover, and this is a really nice cover. Just like putting it out there. This is a historical fiction novel set in the 1940s when Hitler invades Russia, so mid-19th 20th century, and yeah, set in Russia, and it's kind of quite romance focused, I think, and it's huge. It's 800 pages and just quite a weighty tome, and I'm really excited to read this, and it's going to be a really good book to take on holiday. And then the next book I have is kind of stepping out of my comfort zone a bit, and it is Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover. This is a new adult book, and I've never read any new adult books, but I thought maybe I should try reading them. And someone I follow on Tumblr called Manda over at BookMad, who is one of my favourite book bloggers, and I really like her. She's really just awesome, so go check out her Tumblr blog. This is one of her favourite books, and she really likes Colleen Hoover in general, and I thought it would just be such a fab book to start off with. And I really like the concept of this book. It comes along with a playlist that the author developed with a singer-songwriter, and I just really like how I think that's just such a really cool concept, and I'm really excited to read this. And I think it's quite a hard-hitting romance book, but I'm prepared for all circumstances. The next book was something I bought because of Ariel Bissett over here on BookTube, and it is Ask the Passengers by A.S. King. I've really been wanting to read like some of A.S. King's books ever since I started watching Ariel's videos here on YouTube, and this seemed like a good one to go with to start with. Because it's quite slim, and I don't know, I think it's quite popular, and I just thought, oh, I'll try that one first, and I'm just really excited to read it, and I think it's going to be really good. It's a contemporary book, and yeah, I'm sure you all know what it's about, but I'm just really excited to read this. I think A.S. King could be an author that I really fall in love with, so I'm excited to read that. And the next book is Laurie Halse Anderson's The Impossible Knife of Memory. This is a book I've been wanting to read for a long time, ever since the Tumblr Book Club reblog. Anyway, the official Tumblr book club had this as one of their books to read, and I also really like Laurie Halse Anderson's Winter Girls, which is a fabulous book. You should all go read it, though trigger warning, it's about it deals with issues such as self-harm and anorexia and eating disorders in general, so just a quick warning about Winter Girls. But this deals with a girl who I think has been kind of self-educated. She's moved around a lot with her father, was in the war in Afghanistan and suffers from PTSD, so post-traumatic stress disorder, and she's just going into her senior or junior year of high school, and she's trying to care for her dad whilst kind of going into this school where she doesn't know anybody, and it deals with that, and I'm just really excited to read it because I loved Winter Girls so much. I thought it was really, the topics that it dealt with was just dealt with so well and really well written. I never read any book that's about those kind of issues which was dealt with in such a great way, so I'm really excited to read this, and I think I am prepared to cry a lot, even though I hardly ever cry in books. And the next book is something that I really haven't seen anybody talking about, and the author is someone that I've really seen some YouTubers talk about it. It's How to Build a Girl by Caitlin Moran, and this is a new release. It was just released last week, I think, or the week before that, and I am so excited to read this. I love Caitlin Moran in general. I haven't actually read any of her other books. Her most popular one is How to Be a Woman, which is on my next, like, I'm gonna definitely buy that soon if I enjoy this. But this is a fiction book about a girl growing up in Wolverhampton in, I think it's 1990. And it just kind of deals with her growing up and finding out who she is. It's a coming of age novel. And I watched a really interesting review of Caitlin Moran by Just Kiss My Frog over here on YouTube, Lena. And it was just such a great interview, and I really just love Caitlin Moran and everything that she writes, and I'm just really excited to read this. I was so excited when I found out she was publishing this book, so I'm very excited to read this, and I really like the cover because DMs. And the next, well, how many books is it? 4 books are all kind of in the same kind of cutesy love genre. I don't want to say cutesy love genre, like I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm just saying they're all quite similar and all quite popular on BookTube. And to avoid making this video really super long, I'm just gonna rush through them and tell you the titles, because I don't want to go into the synopsises because you all probably know about them already. And they are Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson, which is just, I'm really excited to read. To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han, and this is my new favourite cover. I think this is such a well produced book from just looking at it. Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour, super pumped to read this. And the final one is What I Thought Was True by Huntley Fitzpatrick, and these are all young adult, kind of summary, for the most part, contemporary romance books, and they're very popular at the moment. I'm just super excited to read them. And then now moving on to kind of my other favourite genre, which is fantasy, epic fantasy, high fantasy, and I have got The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. This is the final book in the Mistborn trilogy, which is going round the rounds on BookTube at the moment. As I'm sure you'll have seen a lot of booktubers rave about these, and they are fabulous. This whole trilogy is fab, and the second book ends on such kind of a cliffhanger that I'm just so excited to read this, and I've heard that it's just mind-blowingly good, so really excited to finish this off. And I'm also I think I might buy The Ally of the Law, which is kind of a companion novel to the series, and that's going to be really exciting to read after I finish this. And then the next book I have is I'm just really excited to read this, and it's Melina Marchette's Finnegan of the Rock, and this is a young adult high fantasy series, and this is the first book, and I'm really excited to read this because Reagan loves this trilogy so much, and Melina Marchette's other books, which are like contemporary books, are supposed to be amazing as well. So I'm really excited to read this and get into this world. Like, I really don't know much about it other than the 3 books follow 3 different protagonists in the series, and that's really all I know. So I'm quite excited to get into that world. And then the next book is fairy tale retelling, and it is Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge. I've wanted this book for so long, it's ridiculous. I asked for it for Christmas last year, I then asked for it for my birthday and didn't receive it either time. And this is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, but I think it's quite an unusual retelling. It's kind of got epic fantasy mixed into it, and I don't really know a lot about it other than that it is Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it's got a lot of fantasy elements, so I'm very excited to read this, like, finally, after months of waiting to read it. And the next book I have is very exciting, and it is Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo, and who has also recently been in hospital. So I just wanted to say in this video quickly, I hope you are feeling a lot better soon, Leigh. Not that I know her personally, but if she sees this, I'm hoping you're feeling better. And like well and rested. And this is the final book in the Grisha trilogy. I don't actually own the other 2, but I've read them, and I just couldn't wait for my library to get this in, so I decided to buy it because I am planning on buying the other 2. And I'm just so excited to finish this. I think this is good. I've heard so far that this is just a really good conclusion to the trilogy, so I'm really excited about that. And the next 2 books I have are kind of finishing off what I previously left out in my June unboxing video, and it is Scarlet and Cress by Marissa Meyer, and these are sci-fi fairy tale retellings. And I have got Cinder. That was a book that was in my June inboxing, and yeah, I just thought it's one of those books that I'm going to really enjoy, so I thought I'd just buy the second and third ones because why not? I kind of want to marathon read them. They're supposedly really addictive. And then the next book I got is These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. I've already read this. I read it quite a few months ago and I got it from my school library, but I really enjoyed it, and I really like the design of the cover, so I thought it was worth buying. And also The Shattered World is coming out on December 23rd, so I thought it would be good to buy it because I'm definitely planning on buying the second one. And yeah, I'll probably reread this summer, which is super exciting. And then the next books I have, you might not want to watch this section because it's all school books that I have for next year, which arrived today, and they're actually quite interesting. So like, if you're not particularly interested, then switch off now and thanks for watching, but carry on if you want to see what I will be reading like for the following year for my English class. And the first one is Songs of Innocence and Experience by William Blake, and I really don't know much about William Blake at all. I've never read any of his poetry, but he also was, I think he did, what's it called, he did like printing, like he was like an artist as well. And I decided to get the illustrated edition of these two bind-ups of the anthologies because I just thought I'd really like to see the original artwork that he produced his poems for, and this is it. And it's just really nice quality book, and I'm really excited to read something of his because I haven't read any of his poetry before, as I said, and it's something that that's a period of like time that I've never really read any literature from, like poetry from, and so I'm really excited to read it and just get into it, but I probably won't understand a lot of it when I first read through them. But I'm going to give it a go. And then the next two books I have are both plays, and it is The Revenger's Tragedy by Thomas Middleton and Cyril Turner. I know there's a whole conflict about who actually wrote this play, so they always publish it with both supposed authors. And this is really, like, I don't think many people know a lot about this, but it's a Jacobean tragedy, and I am studying it in relation to Hamlet by Shakespeare, and this is the Oxford World Classics edition, which is huge. I wasn't expecting it to be really thick. I think half of it's like essays and stuff, but I just thought this would be the best edition to get, and I'm studying both of these for my English A2 exam next year, and I'm just really excited to read some Shakespeare because although I've got quite a few of his plays that I've inherited from my dad and my family, I actually haven't read any of them, and I'm really excited to start reading Hamlet because it's an excuse to watch the David Tennant adaptation, which is supposed to be fabulous. And then the next two books I have are Pat Barker's Regeneration and this anthology, which is 6 poets of the Great War, which includes poetry from World War I poets, and I am studying both of these for my coursework along with Birdsong by Sebastian Faulks. And I am very kind of not intimidated, but kind of I'm in anticipation for this section of my course because it's World War I literature, and although that is a very important section of our history, and I think it's really important to study it and the literature that was produced from the effects of it, it's not my favourite section of literature to study, but I think it's very important to study it. And my mum's actually read the Regeneration trilogy by Pat Barker and really likes them. So, and we actually already had this, but my mum's version was falling apart, so we got a new one so I could write in it as well. And oh, 10% battery. Oh, sorry, that was me like touching the screen. Yeah, I'm not exactly excited to read these, but I'm excited to read Birdsong because I started reading that in work like in December and was actually quite enjoying it. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to try reading these, but I'm not as excited as I am to start reading Hamlet and the other things that I've got to study for my course. But this is all, and this is a super long video.